Well, I finally have to make a YouTube. Jersey Maniac. Smash that like and subscribe button. Or don't, it's fine. So, Shartimus, who I don't understand how he has 643,000 subscribers, because everyone I talk to can't stand the guy. I don't understand it. But he did an interview with the Marvel Legends team the other day at Comic-Con, and he did a great job. It's one of the best interviews with a Hasbro team I have ever seen, if not the best, which is shocking. Now, what you have to ask yourself is, why would a guy who this team called on stage at an event at one of the cons and presented him with a new big-time Spider-Man, why would that guy do an interview that I would say is good? Because if you don't know me, I despise the shills. They do no good whatsoever in our community. Action figures are just like anything else in life. Some of them are good, some of them are horrible. So when you're on your Instagram and you're seeing someone calling an action figure that clearly sucks and they're calling it good, like, that's a problem. You have no idea how many people out there can't and don't want to think for themselves. It's bad. Why do you think people still follow Viper Island? Like, the man is wrong and lies all the time, yet he still has a shitload of followers because they just can't be bothered to realize it, or just I don't even know. Regardless, people don't think for themselves. It's very sad. So the shills serve no good purpose whatsoever. They're doing it to get free stuff. They're doing it just whatever. So for him to do this interview it's something. And I know why. I mean, because I've said it all year. This is the worst year of Marvel Legends by far. Years when we got nothing are better than this. I don't understand. So he did this interview. What I normally do on my Instagram, Jersey Maniac _collector, is I screen record a minute's worth of an interview, then video of myself commenting. This was just going to be too long, so I have to do it this way. And if you're expecting like professionally edited shit, just turn it off now. Like, I know nothing. Like, I'm literally going to just do that. And that's it. So the point will be made. So we're going to break down this interview, and we're going to start with something towards the end that Ryan said. And he said this numerous times. It's where he's at as far as what he thinks of the collecting community. Okay?
Is that everyone's opinion about anything, whether it's love it or hate it, is valid to you, because that's your opinion, and you should be empowered to feel and say whatever you want. But I think just keep in mind that when you start saying, oh, well, these are clearly the facts, this should or shouldn't be the case, it's like, well, unless you're on the production side, you honestly don't really know all the facts. So, you know, we respect and value your opinions, and we do want to hear that, and we take it back, and we do try to get better every year.
Cool. So
I have been collecting for as long as I can remember. Okay? I've never been an accountant, but I know that accountants do taxes and handle finances, you know, what's going in, what's going out of corporations, people, whatever. You know why I know that? Because I have common sense. You know, I have some intelligence. So, is he right that we don't know everything? Sure. However, when you apply common sense to collecting, you can figure a lot out. You can also ask people in the industry. I mean, fucking the night lickers out there spitting out stuff on almost a daily basis, it seems, so you can watch his stuff. You can even ask people nicely some questions and they'll answer them. So for him to come out and constantly say that we don't know anything, that's shitty. Because here's what I do know, Ryan. Love and bullshit, both What If waves, Disney Plus wave, Multiverse of Madness, Black Panther, Still the Eternals, they are piling up to the rafters at Ollie's, the Liquidator. Contrary to popular belief, Target and Walmart don't want to send things to the Liquidator. They're not looking at Marvel Legends and thinking, wow, we can't even sell these on clearance. This is fantastic. So then the news from the other day. Let's go back a little further. Target and Walmart are not getting the Ant-Man wave. They would have had it by now. Yakface showed pictures of his store today. They got the Captain Marvel wave. They got the Spider-Man retro wave and a whole bunch of the Avengers stuff. They're not getting the Ant-Man wave. We also know they're not getting the Marvel Knights wave because Dan, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. Sure, Dan, sure. So they're not getting the Marvel Knights wave either. Do any of you hear that news and think, wow, this is great. The line is doing so well? No. No, you don't. Because it's horrible. When was the last time Target and Walmart skipped waves? It's never happened before. And unfortunately, the buyers for Target and Walmart don't know the hobby at all. So they don't understand that it's the MCU waves that should not exist. I mean, bad movies cannot carry merch. If you say otherwise, you're wrong. They don't understand that it's the MCU waves that they're sending to the liquidators. They're just seeing it as Marvel Legends. And so they're selling less. And so they're ordering less. I'm going to try like absolute hell to find the buyer for Target. Whoever's doing the buying for Target from Walmart, I need that guy's name and email address. And I'll email the living shit out of him until he answers me. So yeah, for him to say multiple times though, he said it before, for him to say that we don't know because we don't work there. No, Ryan. That's simply not true. You can think it is, and it's his way of like belittling us. It's his way. He's delicate. He does not like any criticism. He, like, remember when they came out that McFarlane was the best-selling figure? He was on Twitter so fast explaining why, like, he can't handle it. Fine. Anyway, so we're going to break this down. And yeah, lots of stuff to dive into here.
Shartimus Prime here at San Diego Comic-Con 2023 at the Hasbro Marvel booth.
Right off the bat, he's intolerable. Like it's seriously tough to watch him on any sort of regular basis. I don't understand it.
Booth with Dwight Stahl. How you doing, Dwight?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Dan Yoon.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
And we got Ryan Ting.
What's up, Shartimus?
Are you guys having a good Comic-Con or what? This has been a fun one?
Fantastic, man. It's just great to be back for me.
Excellent. Oh, I know. Yeah, we missed you last year. That's why we had you on the Jumbotron over there. I remember that.
Robot.
Yeah, yeah. You're busy.
Oh.
Yeah, your secret's out now. I want to know, how do you guys feel about the reactions from the most recent reveals from yesterday?
Oh, great. Everything seemed really positive. The panel went really well. We got to have debut an entire new wave and talk about X-Men 97 a little bit,
Right.
and then throw a few odd curveballs out there, which is always something fun to try to do, you know?
Excellent. Did it seem like the crowd had a positive response to what you guys had out there? How did you feel about the reaction?
Yeah, I think the biggest pop was probably for Justice. I don't know if you guys...
I thought it was Blade, but Justice,
Blade, yeah.
Justice was pretty
I
popular
thought
too.
it was the teasers, but it's alright.
Yeah. It was...
Need to remember that part for a little later. Dwight said Justice got the biggest pop. Ryan said Blade got the biggest pop. And then the other little man baby spewed his nonsense about the friggin' teases. In fact, I think we're going to skip ahead because he asks about the HasLab, which is really stupid considering you know full well that there's a Star Wars HasLab, so there was no reason to bring it up at all.
This Comic-Con was
You just gotta be a little bit
A
patient.
little bit patient.
Gotcha. All right.
Little bit
We'll stay
patient.
tuned. We'll stay tuned. Now, I'm really happy that you're completing the Squadron Supreme team very quickly. I'm curious to know, out of the teams that you've started already, which teams would you like to see completed sooner than later? Like,
Well, with Justice Reveal, we're getting really close to one variation of the New Warriors. So I'd like to get that one wrapped up next, and I think that'll be my pick.
I want the X-Force team to kind of be completed. I know there's one specific character that people have been clamoring about, so that's the one that I'm trying to get done, you know?
and similarly the X Factor, the 90s X Factor team also has kind of one character who might have had a head but needs the full body treatment. Yeah.
all right, we've got some teases for you guys.
Why the Squadron Supreme, I wonder? Why was this team, of all the teams that they have started, of all the teams that they have started, why that one? Why the one that really I never saw a single request for, I don't care about? Like, sure, I'll buy them all. If they're going to make a full team, I'm in, because that's what we are. We are team builders. We love a completed team. They know it. Why this one? Why is there still no Feral? Why is this little fucker be like, oh, there's one character left? Yeah, no shit. Where is it?
And I wanted to also ask, and this is something that I've really enjoyed about the line, is that you guys are adding new points of articulation. Here we go. I really love the toe joints, and I actually have my Black Widow figure, or one of my two Black Widow figures in there. The lower.
You brought your Black Widow figure to Comic-Con? Why would you do that?
Ab crunch, I love it, man. That figure is so fun. Me and Century Productions taking all kinds of pictures of it. But then at the same time, you have some other figures like the 97 Storm. We've had several Storm figures, and this one doesn't have the new added articulation to it. So I'm kind of curious, like, why do we see like the new articulation come in, but then it's like it comes to a stop? It's like, so you're pouring the glass and then you stop. I want more Diet Coke.
Well, if we were going to put that type of articulation into every figure, there would be a higher cost for every figure across the line. You know, when you have more parts, more pieces, more labor, more time, more deco, and every time you break a figure into more pieces, all of those things start going up. So if the entire line was all that kind of stuff, you know, the price would be even higher for the entire line. So by using pieces that we have in our library and being able to go back and forth and pick and choose where we can lean into do something really special from time to time and really celebrate a fun new thing like Black Widow, we get a chance to do that. We've already retooled the Black Widow's torso to be a smooth version, so we will have a smooth, super articulated female body going forward that we'll be able to get into cycle. But it's like, you know, it's like any ball team. You know, everybody's not the same. Everybody's got a role, and they got a place on the field, a reason to play. So that's kind of what the toy lines are like. You know, there's different bodies for different reasons, and we use the best we have available to us every time. But this line is so big and so impressive and so well supported by the fans, we can't use those bodies every time, or we'd be tooling all of them new every time, and that's just not an affordable business model for us to
We need to
work.
explain
God forbid the billion-dollar company not make more new parts. Whew. What would they give the shareholders?
Capacity and tooling and how that is, because you're good.
Yeah, so
Notice that he's talking about tooling now, because this comes back again later too.
So for a figure like Storm, or when it's smooth bodied, right? Why do some figures still have pins? It does to everything Dwight said, but it's also a capacity concern, because if we're running,
Like, I'm going to let this play, but this is covered so many times. So many times. Since they started doing pinless, everyone asks, why is this figure not pinless? Because they don't have that many pinless body parts yet. So they can't do multiple runs at the same time. You have to wait until one figure is all the way done using those parts to then start another one. It's not that hard to figure out. And pinless is not that great, people. Let's face it. It's fine. It's not that great. It's not the greatest thing that's ever happened to action figures.
and however many to hit a certain on-shelf date to do another character at that same time.
Meet your next pillow.
Fucking
Why do we
ads
make
on
our
it.
pillow in the shape of a cube?
Never buy a
I'll tell
pillow
you.
cube.
The problem with pillows.
Whatever ads
Time you
play,
need to
never
dupe
buy.
that tooling. So we either need to plan it out so things come out at different stages, or to Dwight's point, you're tooling up everything new from scratch. And we know everyone loves the pinless joints. We try to get them out as much as we can. So when there is a figure that maybe is, partially pinless, or it's kind of using that older buck, it is not because we forgot. It is not because we're not trying, right? It's because of all these other factors. And I would just remind everyone that not all toy lines are fully pinless. So, right, like I think get some criticism for when newer figures have pins, but like that's because I think we are at the forefront of the fully pinless.
See, he's a little boast. He's got a boast. Like, see, not all toy lines are pinless. We're at the forefront. He's intolerable too. He really is.
And we're slowly working towards more. You see that new Wolverine from X-Men 97, fully pinless. It kind of looks similar. So we're looking to make those upgrades where we can. And
New Wolverine figures. I'll tell you, the whole collecting community just clamors for new Wolverine figures. Like, are you kidding me?
so, yeah, we appreciate your guys' patience, and we are doing our best to make sure that, the best figures are coming out on that basis, on all the characters and all the movies and shows and everything we need to constantly be activating.
Think of it this way, Russ. If we had, let's just pick this. We're going to do some pretend numbers. If we are currently delivering you 100 classic figures a year of all the A through Z level tier characters, right?
Okay.
And you like that, right? You like getting a lot of diversity and a lot
Love
of
new characters. Yeah.
If we were going to make every one of those things all super articulated, all new, you would only get 30 figures for the year.
Okay.
70 figures go away.
Okay. Make them all. Yeah, I would rather have quality
but-
over quantity.
But when you do that, you need to have those big tiers that not just appeal to you, but appeal to everybody in the world. So
let me get this straight now. First of all, that was a great answer by Shartimus. Okay, yeah, no, I only want what I want. I'm tired of you making 70 worthless fucking figures a year. See? This is the worst year for a shield to go this far. Whew! That answer, though. So, here, wait. Play it a little more.
no more Crystars, no more Power Princesses, no more...
Because they need to sell 3 times the amount if you're making a third of the figures.
They need to sell 3 times the amount. So, we're not going to get stuff like Crystar and Power Princess, and they need to sell 3 times the amount. The Iron Man from the controller wave. Did you see how low that was on clearance? I did. Yeah, Captain America figures they never make. Spider-Man, as long as it's Peter, and to some degree Miles now, but mostly Peter, they sell pretty well. Wolverines don't. Wolverines go on clearance. Hot Claws, the fucking one from the retro card, the black one, Patch, whatever that was. Not Patch, but whatever it was. Wolverine's on clearance all the time. A-listers don't sell. A-listers do not sell 3 times the amount. And when they say they have to appeal to everyone, who do they think is buying this line? How, after this many years, do you not realize that there are infinitely more Shartimuses and Jersey Maniacs who have this. There are infinitely more of us than people who are going to be encouraged to start collecting right now. It is not the same. We collect now because of what we had and what we did as kids. That is across the board. You're telling me that little Timmy is gonna see fucking cartoon Gamora on What If, and he's gonna turn into a fucking action figure collector? No shot. No shot. Chris Cox, the CEO, came out recently in an interview, I think, with Wall Street Journal, and he said, this is something I haven't covered yet. I'm getting there. But he said 40% of Hasbro's business is adult collectors. 40%. That's a lot. He'd like to see it get up to 50. And I got fucking news for you, Mr. fucking Cox. There is no way you're getting up to 50% when you keep making the same figures over and over again. Star Wars does it, now Marvel does it all the time. Another Storm, another Gambit, another Rogue. Ain't gonna happen. It's just not. The fact that you make countless MCU figures that no one asked for and end up at Ollie's, you are not climbing at all. You're gonna drop. It's going to drop. 40% will go down to 30 far faster than it goes up to 50 if you don't spend money to make new parts and new figures. Again, do I know that, Ryan? You don't know. You're not part of the fucking, you work at Hasbro. Yes, I do know it. Because I'm not an idiot.
Dwight's math.
So yeah,
Dwight's math.
it's just Dwight's math. This is just BS
That's
math.
not just including comic figures now.
Yeah.
So we need to also make sure that we're making MCU figures too.
Right, you need to make sure you make more MCU figures so that Ollie's is nice and full. Like, again, what MCU figures are actually requested right now? Whiplash, maybe. No Way Home. Again, when it's something as requested as No Way Home, make the wave. That's fine. I won't say a word. I won't. Captain Marvel, all the Disney nonsense, Black Panther, Ant-Man, these cannot carry waves. No one buys them. MCU collectors are the loudest vocal minority in collecting history. And again, the proof is sitting at Ollie's right now. This guy, Daniel, we gotta make sure we're making MCU figures. He doesn't know that they're at Ollie's? Bullshit. Of course he does, but he's got to chime in. We got to make sure we're making...
You're gonna cut out Blade. You're gonna cut out Daredevil. You're gonna cut out the animated line.
You're going to cut out Blade. This is how dumb Dan is. What did Ryan just say got the biggest pop in the room? Dwight said Justice. Ryan said Blade. But we're going to cut it out because we have to make more MCU figures. Like, it's painful. It's painful to watch. Just like they have no self-awareness. They don't. Unbelievable.
All of those, so that breath that you just said you like is gone. So by doing it this way, by using the pieces that we have in our massive library, we're allowed to give you things, and they may not be perfect for you, but it allows us to represent all these amazing characters from all.
Anything that is not perfect for the collecting community should never be made. It's plain and simple. Is there anyone left out there, anyone who thinks that there is a figure that these three could make that we would not want, that we would instantly look at and be like another Kamala, like the Kamala in this wave? Like, we've had, what, 4 of them recently? What the fuck do we need another one for? We don't. I look at it and I see, well, that's going on clearance. It is a guarantee. So that's not made for us. So he says, if it's not made for you, who is it for then? Do you think one person is going to see that figure and then become a fucking collector? There is a 0% chance. 0.
In some fashion, and hopefully someday, if they are popular enough, if they get put into the MCU or a Disney Plus show and they get a second life, we can maybe revisit them in a different way once their pop culture jumps up, right? Because
pop culture jumps now. What did he say was the biggest pop in the room? Justice. Was Justice in the MCU? Did Justice have any relevance at all any time in recent memory that anyone other than us nerds would know about? No! It is the dumbest fucking thing to say. Like, think of combining those two things. We need someone to get a pop culture boost if we're going to make them or revisit these. But Justice got the biggest pop in the room. Right.
15 years ago, characters like Yelena or Talos, a lot of people didn't know who those characters were, right? And now they're in major shows, and all of a sudden, they have fan followings. People love,
Talos has a fan following?
the actors or the characters, and they're finding out about them.
They like the actor. Right, okay, so here's where we're at now. It's, I love that guy who plays Talos. I have to go buy his figure. You know what? I'll buy 100 more Legends while I'm at it. Like, this is... It's fantasy. Like, what world are they living in? Would they expect any intelligent person watching this to actually believe it? I saw Talos at Macy's. That whole wave. That awful, miserable Captain Marvel wave. To which I got Grey Gargoyle, and that's it. They were all at Macy's for $4.99. A whole display of them. There were probably 85 of them at one Macy's. But Talos has a fan following because he's on the major show that no one is watching, has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, viewership since the MCU started, because Iger's right, and he said, well, now it's all watered down to shit. Yeah, no kidding. It should have ended with Endgame. He's saying that Talos could have a fan following? Oh my God.
More and dive a little bit deeper and have a lot more fun with the line.
So what I'm hearing is the diehard comic fans that want the old school comic characters got to take a back seat to the MCU fans.
That's exactly what they said. It's literally exactly what they said. He plays this off as a joke. He was dead serious. And good for him for saying it.
That's not what you're... I get what you're saying, though. You have a lot that has to go around. I imagine it would be awesome to see, like, a way to get more than just, like, to get more of that stuff. I'm trying to digest what you're just throwing at me at the same time. But
to be clear, though, what you said about the MCU is not what we. No, this is good. This is good to have a good conversation. It's like I didn't even bring the MCU into it because the MCU is handled the exact same way. The Killmonger in that case, that would be considered.
The MCU is the exact same way. Watch Ryan contradict him in a second.
MCU, right?
Right.
That's not all new.
Right.
The Goliath, that would be considered MCU. That's not all new.
Right.
Nick Fury, not all new. Talos, not all new. It's like we still use the same philosophies that we use on the classic side of the business as on the theatrical side of the business. If it's something crazy like Hydra Stomper, we had nothing in our library, and that was really cool. So that needed to be celebrated and make it something special and new.
Process more so for the MCU when we use existing parts, because it does need to be as close to on model as possible, but there is kind of reuse there. I think if we're throwing around a now...
You got that? You got that? This is what I've always said too. The MCU hogs the fucking tooling budget. It has to look like it does on TV, therefore they get all the new parts.
It's not a light switch. It's not a off.
Again, like what did Dwight just say? Like, you know, oh, we use the same. No, they're reusing like genes.
On. You're either pinless, everything pinless, or not pinless. It's a dimmer switch, and we have to adjust it as possible. Sometimes you can go full brightness, you know, Black Widow, mostly new, and then sometimes it's more towards the middle. But we are gradually phasing out things like Pizza Spidey, Bucky Cap. I think you'll start to see fewer and fewer.
We're not even talking about this anymore, and yet he still is.
But again, they don't just shut off completely. We need to kind of balance everything throughout the year.
Yeah, and I know you were saying that as a joke, but we are not putting comic people or comic characters in the back seat, right? So...
No, you're obviously not.
Okay. Ryan just said, it's a more stringent process for reuse for the MCU characters because they have to look like they do on TV, okay? Now this little fucker comes on and says, comic collectors are not taking a back seat. I want you all to take a real good look at the Chode figure. Chode has 3 fingers. My figure has 4. He's got fins on the back of his legs. Figure doesn't. He has a big long weapon. Didn't come with that. His lines are different than the fucking Abominations. And yet it's the Abomination body. Back seat. Because they're going to say in a minute, we had to celebrate the Hydra Stomper, the second Hydra Stomper, from a fucking bullshit show that I've literally already forgotten and would never watch another season of, ever, for any reason. Think of the other Build-A-Figures we've got this year. Puff Adder. What'd they make for Puff Adder? A head and paint. The fucking totally ridiculously stupid Hulk. All reuse. Head. That's it. And we don't get Build-A-Figures anymore. So if you don't think that comic collectors are taking a back seat to the shit that ends up in Ollie's, then you're just not paying attention. It's as easy as that, because it's clear as day. Look at Detroit Steel. Is he accurate? No. No, he's not. It's close, but it's not, because they're just reusing the Ironmonger. So let's not pretend. Like, let's not even pretend that these 3 tell us the truth. They don't.
So I just want to be very, very, very clear.
He's so mad.
It's all one video game figure, but it's all comic stuff, right?
Yeah. So is that Storm figure going to cost significantly less than the Black Widow figure that I just bought? Because it's...
Let's see, like, imagine this guy going this far. He's now saying this stupid, ugly-ass Storm that we don't need. We have a Storm with a mohawk before. We have, like, we have the fucking beautiful one that looks just like the animated one. There was no reason to make another Storm. It comes with nothing. He's asking, is that Storm going to cost less? Because it's no work for you people whatsoever.
Characters cost from and you know this too, that we can't really
Well,
get
no, not
into
the cost from your factory or anything like that, but like on the shelf. Like the pricing that a customer pays for the Storm should be a bit less than what the Black Widow is, because the Black Widow has so much more going on than the Storm, right? And I feel like sometimes it seems like they cost the same, and one's got all the cool deeds and the other one doesn't, and that's where I get confused in my head, because if you're charging $15 for that, to me that makes sense in my head. I'm like, oh, she's got way less stuff. And I'm paying $30 for Black Widow. It makes sense to me. She's got all the accessories. She's got all the stuff I asked for.
It's
so
more,
that's where...
yeah, no, that's fair. It's more about an even keel. It's like, you know, the cost of some figures are higher, the cost of some figures are lower. But what we're targeting is a nice balanced look to maintain our portfolio where we need it to be. You know, it's all about keeping that nice, you know, nice, slow ride like this. And it allows us to do something a little bit more excessive. But then as the water comes down, you have to find some way to balancing it. So it's all about balance.
So it's, okay, so it's like a pool, right? It's kind of like... that.
Aaron loves Optimum's fiber internet, saying excellent speed and quality. So we decided to review him back. Smoothly.
That like your resources are dispersed and you try to bring the pricing
It's also
like an even
just,
keel.
if you realistically think from a retailer perspective, you have to have certain price points. The more price points you have, the more complexities there are. So this one can't cost $21.33, and this one costs.
I'm going to say this publicly to everyone. Never say price point. It is the dumbest thing that some asshole CEO thought up to make it sound more important than it is. It's the price. What point does the word point have after price? None. You just sound like a douchebag.
Costs $24.57. It's like $24.99 is the 6-inch kind of standard price point for not only Legends but also other figures. And then everyone has some deluxes. But even when you start to get into that, we try to minimize the number of different price points because it just kind of would get too complicated from bringing all the retailers on board as well, who have to like. Yeah, I think is it shoe leather cost? Is that the business?
And you're losing retailers because Target and Walmart are just skipping waves now.
Term, like the more menus you have to print over and over again, the more expensive it is just for any business. So we have to try to narrow things down. And yes, figures that generally come with more accessories or a higher price point, we try to justify that, and it's all balancing it out.
So figures that come, we're trying to balance it out. Figures that come with more accessories cost more. Figures that come with less accessories don't cost any less. This is his explanation. Makes sense, right? I mean, sure, Ryan. Okay.
Okay. All right, that makes sense to me. Can I ask you? So I try to avoid questions about specific characters.
Okay.
But one figure that I would love to see you guys make that I'm just surprised that you haven't done so in this type of fashion is a classic. I see for a long time. That looks like a.
Pause it. He's actually asking for a Spider-Man with like raised lines. This is a man who's been collecting for how long, and he's asking for a fucking another Spider-Man. Like, how many Spider-Man figures we have? We need one with raised lines. Well, we don't. We don't. And they say that's too much tooling. That's going to be deluxe. I'm not paying deluxe price for another Spider-Man.
One and done kind of thing. I don't know of any variations of the Shocker, but you have unique tooling for the.
Well, normally,
I mean, does that make?
It's paint deco, which has a lot of value too as well. But I think what you're not mentioning is deco. And Spider-Man, in order for him to be developed, has a lot of paint deco, which has a lot of value too as well. So whenever we make a Spider-Man, we have to consider the deco, especially on the hands.
That's the thing people don't.
So that is Dan bringing up deco and how they have to think about it when they're going to make a Spider-Man. Very important moving forward.
Go for it.
Go for it.
So Spider-Man, it would look awkward if his hands didn't have the web lines. So all the way around, and so it's ironic that Spider-Man is the most recognizable, strongest character, but he also requires the most amount of deco. But I think that's a fair point, and it's something to add to our list because we've done MCU versions now, like with this.
They're basically the Black Series team now too. They're saying that the deco and the assembly make certain figures more expensive. There's just so much going on. This is $1 billion company. You can't make a Spider-Man shit like, because they have to paint the hands.
A 3-pack, it's like, yeah, a raised decoed Spider-Man with all the accessories. It's gonna be a deluxe. Just throwing it out there, right? Because
it won't be $24.99.
If it's $30, you got all the articulation, keeping the toes, and you get a proper neck joint that can move all the way up.
Yeah,
Something like that. I wouldn't mind dropping $30 on that. Like with the Black Widow. I have no complaints about the Black Widow. I had a little thing with the right leg, but I know that's a factory thing because I bought 2 and it wasn't on the second one. But that's a fair price for me as a consumer. I'm okay with that. So, cool to see that the idea is being considered, right? Because I think, and you could re-release that. And now, like from a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like the steel is like a 10, right? So without giving me too much detail here, just so I could wrap my head around this stuff, if the steel is at around a 10, where would you put paint deco on that scale?
We And Russ, you're not a rookie to this, but we can't go into detail of like this manner about.
I thought I was being general here with my own 1 to 10
Get it,
scale.
but like we've been talking about pricing a lot with this, so I just want to make sure that you know that we are not supposed to go into detail about this.
No, I don't want details. I know. I don't.
But you're trying to get it from a relative
No,
perspective.
so we'll just say,
Yeah,
we
I just want to understand. I'm trying to understand.
So little Dan there brought up Deco. He brought it up. He did. And then Shartimus asks about it. Because again, they are saying that Deco makes the certain figures more expensive than others. So Shartimus has a completely fair question. If tooling, the steel molds, cost the most, where does Deco land in this scale? So incredibly reasonable to ask. Did you see, if you couldn't see on this how mad he got, pull it up on YouTube and look. He got so mad. Even it's, you're not a rookie. You know we can't talk about this. Why not? What's the problem? And again, this goes back to what Ryan says of you don't know. Because there's certain shit that you won't tell us. Because you won't say just how greedy your company is. I mean, why would they? Again, it's not hard to figure out. But again, if you're not even going to say where Deco fucking lands in the scale of what's most expensive to make an action figure, why not? Why is that a secret? Tooling's, I mean, it's an easy answer. Yeah, tooling's the most expensive. Deco might be, second or third in the process. And you're done. It's answered and you're done. But no, instead we go, wow.
Everything is the long and short.
Okay, they all cost a lot of money. Okay, all right, cool. So, just really quick, and the last question: where would you say people in general have the most positive reaction with the line, and where would you say people have the most negative reaction with the line?
I know the answer to that. They're not gonna say it. They're gonna deflect this, and they're gonna lie.
It's hard for me to say because that's
Lie.
a very subjective question.
It is, but
No, it isn't.
Every person that walks in the booth has a different praise or criticism. So that's the magic and challenge of this massive Marvel line and the love from these incredible fans that come out here. It's like every person that you talk to throughout the course of a day, you're going to get 100 different things that they love, and you're going to get a few dozen things that are very different that they don't like. And it's all those different little bits and pieces. It's like this. The likeness of this figure is phenomenal. Oh my God, the deco you're using these faces is next level, better than anything I've ever seen for this price. Across so many different places. And then other people are like, oh man, I wish I had more hands. I wish there were more accessories, or I wish this figure wasn't pinless. So it's just a very, very subjective.
Come on.
400 meters.
You're gonna make me watch it too.
100 meters.
So everyone wants different things, he's saying. But that is not true. Everyone basically wants the same things. We all want Legends to be as Legends have always been. We want hands, we want accessories, we want them to be good. Easy. That's not people having different opinions.
And all of them every year, after all of these years, you're constantly finding new things that sparks an interesting thought or an interesting theme that we might not have been thinking about. And to find out that it's on the mind of the fans is it's great, because we take that information back and we sit down with our full teams and we're like, all right, man, we have those breakdowns, right? All right, what do we learn this week? And in a couple of weeks we'll have that. We'll sit down and we're like, all right, guys, it's like post-mortem. What
You don't know what the fans like most. This is what he's saying. He's saying it takes talking to the fans at these events to determine what people like and what they don't. The internet is on and working every single day. There's thousands of fan pages, Facebook groups, comments per day. but you gather after Comic-Con to determine what's going on, where all the shills go? That's convenient.
What can we do to make this line better, to keep it fresh and to keep it, kicking ass, for another 21 years.
Yeah,
Right
to
on.
that point, 20 years. Like, we are so thankful for the fans. I've been working on the brand since 2015, Dwight even longer, and even since then we're doing so many more items a year, and that's because of the great fan support, and we're always trying to get better. I think an overall point I'd like to make is that everyone's opinion about anything, whether it's love it or hate it, is about facts. This should or shouldn't be the case. We try to get better every year.
Cool. So like, what would you say the things that people get most excited for in general that you
Characters, teams, new innovations.
Teams. Thank you for finally answering the question. He only asked it, 4 minutes ago. Team. What do we want as collectors? Completed teams and new characters. So he just said that he knows it. So why are we getting a wave that has Wolverine, Storm, Bishop, Gambit, Rogue? Why? Because Disney wants it that way. Because Jesse Falcon is determined to kill his own line. Easy as that.
Do Articulation, like everyone's kind of loves that Black Widow. I think the Iron Man Model 1 from the Avengers 60th was a pretty good example of what the awesome team can do when given kind of a blank canvas. Every couple of times a year when you can do that like all new figure from scratch. I really like that Iron Man figure.
Yeah, that's a good Iron Man figure. And then the things that you see people most disappointed or most complaining about, what's that?
Whatever they want to get most disappointed about, we'll take it. We're here for it.
All right.
Can't answer that one, though. That one we have to deflect and lie, because the answer would probably be, there's way too many worthless MCU figures, dude. I would love to know how many people said that at this event. I would love to.
Right. And Dan, what do you see people getting most excited for and people getting the least excited for?
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys already hit on everything mostly, but yeah, whatever. It's really subjective, really. Like Ryan was saying.
It's not. Like they keep saying it is. No, it isn't. We all have the same complaints. We do. We really do.
It's just because you're the loudest person doesn't mean that is what everybody's also thinking too. But
that's very true as well. However, the loudest people are typically complaining about the thing that is most complained about.
Yeah, we respect everybody's opinion, and like everybody was saying, like the fans are the most important. So we take in their feedback all the time, and yeah.
That's what I'm constantly trying to do, is get a general idea of what people like and don't like, and then come to you guys with, questions that I know that they want to hear.
Share the opinion, share the love, just keep it civil. It's like this community, we're making amazing toys. It's like we're making
All right, I'll keep it civil. Dwight, sir, I love your product. I have hundreds of them. Hundreds. Right here in the closet. They're everywhere. When you make MCU nonsense and when you make the same characters over and over again, I can't add to the collection. The simple truth of the matter is, when you say, well, maybe this isn't for you, you typically mean the collector who's been collecting for 20 years. And that is the biggest mistake you make on a regular basis. That was respectful, right? I thought it was. I don't even think I cursed during that, did I? I don't think so. But argue that. Like, could anyone out there actually argue that they should never make anything without the collectors in mind? Because we are the only ones buying this wave. I don't even think I finished before. Cox said 40% of their business is from adult collectors. I guarantee you that 40% covers 99% of Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black, Vintage Collection, Power Rangers, and 100% of G.I. Joes. Let's face it. No kids want G.I. Joes. I mean, they don't know G.I. Joe. We do. Why do you think Classified is the most successful line? Because kids are buying it? No. It's because we grew up watching G.I. Joe. We all had hundreds of G.I. Joes as kids. Now they're making beautiful 6-inch figures of them, and we want every single one. Again, I don't need to work there to figure that out. Do you?
Look better than action figures have ever looked in the history of the businesses. It's like, this is something to be celebrated and enjoyed. And if something's not for you, that's okay. We'll survive.
No, it's not.
Move on to the next one. But just, you know, spread the love, you know.
If it's not for you, we'll survive. How many more shipments have to go to Ollie's before that's not the case anymore, Mr. Stahl? Really asking. I mean, you won't answer that, of course, but very curious to know.
You know, keep the hate to yourselves, man. It's like this make this thing.
No.
Just
Everything, just
This
a little patience.
Keeping the hate to ourselves is what the shills do, and they just lie and they fake it, and there's like, oh, this piece of shit is great. Not doing it. No. What good is accomplished by that? Nothing changes then. I want change. I want a lot of change. So no, not doing that.
Because when we do those live streams and it's like, here's an MCU wave.
What live streams? You've been hiding the whole year. You did one. You did one live stream and you did two little videos, one about the Black Widow, and that's it. You've been hiding from the community all year. All year, Ryan.
It's like, where are the comic figures? And then when we do a comic figures, it's like, where's the MCU figures? And it's like,
No, it isn't. Again, because if you read how many people are actually asking for MCU figures, it's not that many. Pass the No Way Home wave. For whatever reason, everyone wants the No Way Home wave. Fine, make it. No one asked for a Captain Marvel wave. No one asked for another Black Panther wave. No one asked for an Ant-Man wave. Not one person. You think anyone would actually ask for another Wasp figure? One of the most prolific peg warmers in the history of action figures? But you made it anyway.
the whole year. In our panel yesterday, animation, MCU, comic, including major comic characters and obscure comic characters. So it's all about trying to please as many of you all as we can.
So they're really trying to make you guys happy is what they're saying. I think they're trying to make us happy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. But I think they care about what we think, right?
Absolutely.
All right, you guys.
Well, most, you know who you are, not that guy, but everybody else.
I'm one of those guys. They don't care what I think because I don't present it in the most kindest way. Because I care more than most people do, unfortunately. This is why I go about this in the way that I do. Every single part of me wants to buy Star Wars figures, Marvel figures. Like, I want the biggest Marvel collection of all time, and I can't do that if they make crap. I can't. That is why I care. That is why I am passionate. So if you have a problem with how I go about it, I'm very sorry. However, you have to do something to save the line at this point. Power Rangers is on pause because it doesn't sell. It all goes on clearance. Wong was just $8. Dick Grant, like everyone, oh, make Dick Grant from the Loki show. No one bought it. It's still at my Walmart. It was just on clearance for $10, and it's still there. They can't sell it for $10. Vocal minority. I hope that all makes sense. Thank you if you've hung around this far. Sorry for the commercials and shit. Again, I'm not a video editor. But this needed to be done in this way. Follow me on Instagram.